Hello and welcome to my first play of Grid Runner from Titanforge. Today I'll be playing my very first ever game of this particular installment. I'm curious how it will work. As you can see here, instead of the recommended adventure sheet, I printed the threat level, I printed some tokens, and instead of noting down the turn, credits, items, and high score, I will just do this on my little notepad. For this first installment, I decided to prepare and paint Carbon Connor, the first character of the Titanforge series of Grid Runner. He is very proficient in regards of melee combat and not so proficient in regards of range combat. My idea for this series is that I will play every game, every chapter with every Grid Runner just to see how they fare and how they compare to each other. And for this, the game is played with an app, an online application where the story defaults and where you have to click if any actions, for example, when you open one of these loot crates. And yeah, in general, I can say that the miniatures, the print files are very beautiful. You can see here the terrain. All of this is 3D printed and comes with the purchase of the game. Just ignore that this part here isn't painted so far. It is an armor that is identically to the one that these Yakuza miniatures wear. And let's try to get these in the focus of the camera. As you can see here, these are very beautifully detailed miniatures, and my rather sloppy paint job does not do them justice at all. My paint job focused more on being pragmatic and getting the miniatures ready for the game so that we can start. And as I said, it will be my first ever game, and let's just jump into it and learn how to play Grid Runner together. So, jumping into the first turn, each Grid Runner can perform 3 actions per turn, and every time an action is performed, the threat level will increase depending on the kind of action you used. And for my first action, I will use a simple move action, which allows me to move the speed state of Connor, that is a 2. So I'll put up the threat level from 0 to 1. He will move 2 spaces to get onto the crate. Now let me check in another tab what the first crate includes. The first crate. In the deepest corner of the room, you pick up a dusty keycard with a barely visible small B symbol on the bottom. You may proceed to exit B. Exit B is this one at the bottom. So, this was the first action of Connor. And now let me check what would be meaningful. As an information for you guys, each of these chapters has an optional challenge, and this time it is the eliminate all goons without using your skill, because each Grid Runner has a special skill. In Carbon Connor's case, this would be in dash, where the threat level would increase 3 steps. He would be allowed to move 3 tiles instead of 2, and he would be able to attack all in melee. In this game, melee and adjacent are always only in a cross, not diagonally. So, with this, he is barely able to not reach anyone, but let me just note down that I found a key to door B, so that I will not miss it. So he also has a ranged attack that he could possibly use, which would allow him to shoot any model that is visible to him. Therefore, the columns will block line of sight. But instead of doing this, I think I will just again move 2 tiles. 1, 2. Getting there is another move action. Threat level is up to 2. And I think I will just skip the optional challenge. And I will use his dash action just to get a feeling for the game. Therefore, I will increase 1 to 3, the threat level up to 5. Move 3 tiles between the 2 goons. It's on the left side we have a melee goon, at the right side we have a ranged goon. So, and now I'm allowed to attack all in melee. So, how does this work? At Carbon Corner stat card, there is a symbol for melee with 3 dice. Therefore, I will grab 3 dice. I get a bonus of +5. And now I roll the dice, add the bonus of 5 to each of these dice, and compare the value with the defense value of 12. For the melee goon and for the ranged goon, they have equal defense. And each roll of 12 or higher, since equal or above the defense value, will inflict 1 damage as stated on Carbon Corner's card. So, let's see. The first die roll, I will start by rolling for the melee goon because he's the higher threat. I rolled a 5, a 9, and a 20. Therefore, this will be a 10, lower than the defense of 12. But the 9 will turn up to a 14. The 20 is a 42. Is a 22, sorry. Therefore, the melee goon takes 2 damage. I will just put a token next to him. And since he has a health value of 2, he's reduced to 0 and is out of game immediately. Putting him aside. And now, since I used the dash action of Corner, I'm also allowed to attack the next melee goon. The ranged goon, sorry. Rolling again. This time I've got a 16, a 7, and a 6. The 6 will turn up to an 11 because of Corner's bonus of 5, if I recall it correctly. Yeah, just double checking, has a bonus of +5, so therefore the 11 is not enough. The 7 is barely enough, so 12, and the 16 up to a 21. Therefore, the ranged goon is also incapacitated immediately after Corner's first activation. Let me check how it continues, and I will catch up with you guys. After reading up on the rules, the next step would be to make a noise roll, which is a simple d20 roll that influences your threat level. I rolled a 9, therefore my threat level is increased by 1, which means that I'm at the edge of the medium threat level, which will affect the enemy's behavior. And since I'm still at the medium threat level, as you can see here, all enemies in the room with you activate. A room is any section of the board fully surrounded by terrain, board edges, and closed door. Since my room is only here, and the other enemies are therefore in another room, I'm still alone, and therefore it will not activate. No enemies will activate. What I forgot to do this round, 2 things. First one is to mark down the turn, which I just corrected. And also, every time you eliminate an enemy model, you can collect a bounty, and that will be their credit value. And each, the melee and the ranged goon, has a bounty of 200 credit each. Therefore, I will just note down 2 times 200, which will be my credit value. And with all of this corrected and done, the round end, and no matter how many enemies have activated or not, it decreased the threat level by 4. Therefore, my threat level of 6 decreases to 2. If there are no enemies left, set the threat level to 0 and do not increase until you advance to the next location. This whole area, I understood it, is the whole location. Therefore, I will still keep my threat level of 2 and just continue with the next turn of Carbon Corner after I tidied up and did all the things at the beginning of the turn. So, after having noted down turn 2, I decided for the first play with each character in each chapter and location, I will try to collect all the loot crates just to see what is the content and also to have a more or less comparable result after each character, and to make a comparison about how fun I think each of them is to play. Therefore, in Corner's second turn, I will use his first action to move his speed of 2 in order to get a little bit closer towards the move crate, increasing the threat level by 1. Then I spend his next activation, moving onto the crate, and as soon as the grid runner moves onto a crate, it is picked up. It does not cost any activation or move points. Therefore, after I read what is inside the loot crate, he's still able, or I will just do it right now, he moves 1 tile back. And since this was the crate number 2, you notice a small keycard placed neatly on the shelf along with a note saying, "Don't lose it this time, dipshit." Sorry for the swearing. It has a small A symbol on the bottom, and the A symbol is the upper door. Therefore, you may proceed through exit A. So this time I'm allowed to, since I picked up both card keys, I can use them to pick either of the exits, which might be important for the next location, but I'm not sure about it. I haven't looked it up so far. Therefore, let's continue. I increased it by 1 so far. I increased it a second time. And now I will just spend his third activation to move him into contact with the door. Because to open a door, I have to interact with it, and this means you can only interact with the environment during your move or run action, or choosing to do so reduces the number of tiles you can move through by 1. Keep in mind that when you spend your last movement point to get to the tile adjacent to the environment, you won't be able to interact with it in that action. After doors are opened, remove them from the board. Therefore, after this turn, I'm still unable to open the door because I have no movement tiles left of my speed. So, with this being said, Corner's turn is finished. Looking at the threat level, it's again medium, but since there are still no enemies in his room in this location, the enemies will not activate. And then I forgot, before activating the enemies, the noise wall with a roll of 15, keep the current threat level, so nothing changed. Then the enemies would activate, and in the end, the turn ends. The threat level is decreased by 4, therefore moving down to 1. And now let me just clean up, and I'll catch you in Corner's third turn of Grid Runner. Looking at Corner's third turn, I have a starting threat level of 1, and an action I completely forgot that is also possible. You can not only move, which increases the threat level by 1, you can also use the run action as one of your 3 actions, which increases the threat level by 3. Therefore, I decide that the Corner's first action in his third turn will be the run action, increasing the threat level by 2, from 1 up to 1. His first tile he will spend to remove the door, to open it. And then, since he has a move value of 2, it increases by +1 for the run action, and he has a 3 in total. 1 for opening the door, 1, 2, getting next to the ranged goon, spending his second action to attack. And if I see, an at normal attack increases the threat level by 2, therefore going up to 5. Now, rolling again with his bonus of 5 against the defense value of the goon of 12. I got a 20, 18 and 14, therefore 19, 23 and 25, which is enough to instantly slay the ranged goon, removing also another beautifully modeled miniature from the field. So, and now I have to think what I will do with his third activation. I am not interested in raising the threat level into high alert, because if the threat level increases to high, or in medium also, the actions that the enemies will do will change a little bit, and most of the time, as I have saw it, it is devastating. You get into high alert. For example, now since I have the medium threat level, melee goon gets a +2 to his melee dice attacks. Therefore, instead of a bonus of +2, he already has a bonus of +4. And if I raise it into the high threat level, the melee goon will attack twice instead of once. And since Carbon Corner has a health value of 5 and a defense of 12, this is quite a dangerous situation he's currently in. But since the goon has a speed value of 2, I think I will use Corner's last action for this turn to use a move action, increasing the threat level by 1 up to 6, still in the medium, and just move 2 tiles a little bit into cover. So sprinting in, or kicking the door in, sprinting in, eliminating another goon, and getting into cover. Now it gets a little bit interesting, because for the noise I rolled a 13, which means keep the current threat level. And if I had rolled a 2 to 10, the threat level would be increased by 1, and with a natural 1, the threat level would have been increased by 2. It will only decrease at a natural 20, therefore the goon is still at the medium threat level. And how the enemy activation functions is that there is an order. First, bosses will activate, then melee enemies, and then ranged enemies. And this one here left at the field is a melee goon, therefore a melee enemy. And melee enemies move towards the closest unoccupied tile adjacent to the grid runner by the number of tiles equal to their speed statistic. As I said previously, this will be 2. So he will move 1, 2, right here. And after this, if the enemy reaches the adjacent tile or was already on it, then perform a melee attack. This is not the case. If they finish a movement on any tile and have a vision to the grid runner, they perform a ranged action. And I would say, looking at the diagonal squares, that here is no visibility because of this little wall, and therefore the enemy activation is done. Now the threat level is decreased by 4, below 3, so therefore up to down to 2, and the third turn is also done. So before I start turn 4, I just want to mention that I also noted down the 200 credits for the second range goon. And for Connor's fourth turn, he will increase the threat level by 1, because he will use his first action for a move action. Then he will increase the threat level by another 2 to make a melee attack against the melee goon, against a 12 with a bonus of +5, 10, 15, 19, therefore 15, 20, 24. It's enough to put 3 points of damage onto the goon, which will be also enough to defeat him. Therefore, this time I will think to write it down to another 200 credits. And now Connor still has 1 activation left. And since there are no other goons or enemies at this location, and the fewer turns I need to finish the game, the better my high score will be. So with this, and in mind that if there are no enemies left, the threat level is decreased to 0 and will not increase until I will advance to the next location, I will use the run activation to fulfill my self-obliged requisition to open all the root crates for the first time I play a chapter with each grid runner. And let me just find it. Here it is, the third loot crate. The oddly misplaced box contained a credit chip. Score: gain 100 credits. So with this, I will just note it down. 900 credits in total. This was Connor's 4th turn. The threat level now is reduced to 0. And for his next turn, his turn number 5. Here it is, turn number 5, 900 credits. Key to B and A. I grab both key cards. In his 5th turn, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and he would exit it. So I think since it is a little bit too easy or suggestive to grab the keycard B, which is closer to his starting location, and then just go to exit B, because especially since here's another crate with credits, I think he will spend his 5th turn using a run action, 1, 2, 3, using a second run action, 1, 2, 3, and a third run action, 1, opening the door and exiting through the exit A. So with this, Connor needed 5 turns to defeat all the goons, loot all the crates, and leave the location. Let me just see what will be done after I finish the game and calculate the high score. So, having another look at the rules, it is possible to get between each location and purchase an upgrade. Each upgrade can be purchased only once, as it is stated in the rules, and I just remember it correctly. And the high score is actually calculated after the complete run. The complete run composes all 6, I think, locations. Therefore, Connor with his 5 turns right now is relatively slowly, because after for what actions do you get high score points? Destroying an enemy are points equal to the bounty. Destroying a big boss are 1000 extra points. And destroying the last enemy in the location are also extra 500 points. So with this, destroying an enemy, points equal to the bounty. I destroyed 4 enemies, each with a bounty of 200. That would be 800. There was no boss in this location. But I also destroyed the last enemy in the location, therefore 500 extra, which means 1300 points for the high score currently. Since I used Connor's special ability right at the start of the game, I did not achieve the additional objective or challenge. Therefore I will be missing out on these points. And after all 6 locations are completed, I will get an additional point for each credit left, and I will lose 100 points for each round that I played. Therefore, with the 1300 credits so far and the 5 turns played, my high score would be currently 800. But since the run is still going for the second location, where I actually still have to paint some terrain to be able to put it on the gaming board, so this might take a while, but with the 1300 credits currently, I think I will spend money to make money, because there is the bounty upgrade, which will be this token with some credit cards on it and 50. This will increase the bounty I will receive from each enemy by 50 points. Therefore, I think it will be meaningful to purchase this one early on. So instead of my 900 credits so far, I will spend 400 of these and get the upgrade. I will just note it down here. Upgrade bounty plus 50. It is recommended to put it next to the character card, since I did not print them. Maybe I will do this for the next time. Might be also a little bit more visually interesting to you guys. But then this token will just put next to his card to remember it. And with this, I played the first location of Chapter 1 Abduction of Grid Runner by Titanforge, exiting through the door A. And I'll catch you guys at the next game. Have a great day.